Hey, John here in Vietnam, and I'm just going to give you a few words if you're considering coming to Vietnam to retire. If you look on YouTube, you can find a lot of nice low-cost apartments, and I moved to Da Nang in September, yeah, end of September. I got a hotel for about $10 a night, and it was a 2-star, and it was fine, no problems at all. Just a nice little room, the AC, TV, bathroom, and I stayed there about a month. I made reservations online. It's usually cheaper if you just go online and pick out, one of those things like Priceline. I use Priceline, and you can get it cheaper rate, even under 100 a week. So I think I paid like 75 one week. One of those weeks was pretty cheap. So I did that for 4 weeks, and I found an apartment in the center of town, which was good, because what I wanted was be able to just jump on my bicycle and ride a mile or less to get food and coffee, and it worked out. And sometimes I take a 2-mile bike ride, and I could go over the Han River, over the bridge a couple times, and it was pretty good. We got really heavy rains. We got a typhoon in November. So November, December, they got heavy rains. It would rain for like 10 days straight. I mean, and not just a regular rain, but like a torrential rain, like a hurricane rain. And some of it was, of course, from a hurricane. But the streets got flooded. Where I was, it didn't get flooded, but pretty close nearby, down the hill a little bit. So heavy rains, and then January and February were kind of dry. March, it started getting warmer, and then April, I mean, you're talking 85, 90 in March, and then April, it started to hit 100 degrees, okay? So you have to be really a healthy person to be able to tolerate stepping out into that kind of heat. And you might not realize until you get into it, how healthy you have to be. Because I'm reasonably healthy, and I ride my bicycle, things like that. I go to the gym a little bit. And most of the apartments, the apartment buildings, there'll be several apartments in there, and the buildings are not AC usually. I mean, it's not like in the States where the apartment building is air conditioned, and there's not always an elevator. So I was up on the 4th floor, and there was 8 sets, of steps I would go up, 2 for each level. So, when it got hot, I found myself struggling to get up those steps, and most of the time I'd have to sit, after a couple of flights, I'd sit down for a few minutes. And of course, it may be just a particular condition that I myself struggle with, but my heart was racing pretty fast climbing up those steps in 90-degree heat. So once it hit 100 in April, I realized that this was getting dangerous, okay? So when you're old, you can't just handle 9500 degree heat for any length of time. Cooling the body is one of the most stressful things on your heart, okay? Along with digesting food, So, you're thinking you're going to go out and have a meal in a semi-air conditioned restaurant. Some have good AC, some are so-so, a lot of them has fans. Coffee shops, sometimes they're just outdoors, with a fan, and there's people sitting outside and it's 95 degrees. And the Asians can tolerate the heat quite well, they're running around on their scooters. Most of them wear shirts and jackets and long pants, even at 95, 100 degrees. And this, of course, it protects them from the sunlight, right? But well, yeah, I mean, wearing long pants, it's just no way for myself. So, you know, that air conditioning that you may be used to, like I'm from Southwest Florida, south of Tampa there, and you know, my car was AC, stores were AC, and you'd go out into the heat and jump into your car and cool down or whatever, and but here, you know, you're not sure how fast you'll get to an AC place. You know, you might have to walk a couple blocks. You know, like I'm saying, it's not everywhere AC. And then you can have power go out. My power went out a couple times where I was. It was not threatening at the time. One time was real short. One time was like in February, where I was out on my bike. Actually went out on my bicycle. But once that 100-degree heat hit, I says I gotta start looking. So, you know, I looked at videos on New Zealand, which turns out is very expensive. You know, they import all their food, and you watch some videos there, and they say they're paying more for the lamb. You know, New Zealand is famous for their good lamb. I eat the lamb here, New Zealand lamb here in Vietnam, and they said it's more expensive in there where they live. You know, which is not unheard of. You know, I don't know why that happens, but in New Zealand, you're gonna pay more for a nice lamb dish than here in Vietnam. So you're talking very high expenses in New Zealand. Australia, I researched a little bit, and well, you got to do a lot if you want to find your way in Australia. I'm not going to deal with that scene in Australia. So what I did, I found Dalat in Vietnam. It's DE, capital, we can space it, and capital LAT, Dalat. Dalat is like a plateau. It's up several thousand feet. You can research that and see what it's like, but it's very nice, and it's like 78 maybe right here right now. It's midday. It's middle of May, and it's the middle of the day, and it's pretty much like this through the summer, they said, and it gets around 60s at night, and this is a lifesaver for me. So let me just show you the you can see that the landscape is very hilly. It's all mountains. Everywhere you go here in Dalat is hills. I've rode my bike a little bit, but I don't go too far, mainly because of the hills, and I can't ride that far anymore. You know, a mile or two, and then you gotta rest every few minutes, and just a lot of stress on the heart, I guess, circulation, and so. But it's really nice, and they don't even bother with air conditioning in these places. I got a little upset when I found out my motel didn't have AC here in C1, but they say they don't need it, and it's true. It gets a little bit warm in the morning with the sun on it, but I run the fans. You know, they have fans, 2 fans in the room that actually exhaust outside, and they go in reverse, so they draw cooler air from behind the building, which is a little cooler. So it may get up to 82 in my place, something like that, but it's not bad. And then once the sun gets a little higher, it doesn't get in the windows as much, and it cools back down to like 80, 79, 78. And then of course at night it's probably like 70 or cooler. So that's my short video, and it's mainly to give people who want to retire or considering retirement, and just a heads up. You know, they don't tell you, you know, that's it's a very dangerous heat here, so just be careful when you're researching. Find out the climate, do the climate research, and this here is a good place. Again, I'll show you the name here, Dalat. Alright folks, that's all for now, and God bless you. Goodbye.